Okay. All right, guys, we are live. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, everybody, to our webinar, How to Get Contracts with the Government. We're going to be joined shortly by Dr. Portia Jackson from Houston Office of Business Opportunity. So everybody just get in. I see we have people coming in. Really looking forward to this talk and this webinar. And we hope that it'll be as informative as possible to help you guys grow, man, to help your businesses. So basically, when Portia joins, I'll let her introduce herself and what she does with the Office of Business Opportunity, talk about her background a bit, and then we'll get right into it. The goal for this webinar is to give you guys as much valuable content as possible that you can take and implement it right away. Just give me a second as I try to get Portia on the call. If you have any questions, you can put it in the Q&A segment, and we will be answering questions from there. So there should be a portion where you can ask questions in Q&A. We'll be going through those questions. There's also a chat feature also where you guys can, chat. Just to make sure everybody hears me and the chat is working, can you guys put where you guys are coming in from, the city you're located in from on the chat? Just want to make sure everything is working properly. Being told I have an echo here. Just shut down a few things here. Make sure the echo is properly. Is it gone? All right, checking the Q&A. Okay, cool. So Kiana said the chat was disabled. All right, cool. It looks like it's good now. Let me see. Chat says disabled, Blackhawk, VA. Okay, looks like the chat is working. Chat is disabled. I'm gonna ask my moderators to make sure that the chat is enabled. Check that out for me, guys. We're gonna make sure the chat is enabled so everybody can chat. Make sure that feature is working. And we also wanna make sure the Q&A feature is working. This is a new platform for us, guys. We haven't used it before, so I apologize if we do have any kinks during the call. But we definitely want to make sure that we get it all together and get you guys as much value as possible. It says disabled. All right, I have my team working on it in the background to make sure we are enabled and good to go. So just give me a second here. Okay. Got it. And as we wait for Miss Portia Jackson to join, we'll continue. All right. Portia, all right, perfect. She is here. Team, can we make sure that Portia is able to get on? Please join as a panelist, Portia. We'll be able to get you in there when you logged in. They should have had you join on as a panelist. Yes, Jeremy, we will have a copy of the webinar for you guys. I want to make sure that, you know, anybody who missed anything is able to, you know, get everything. So we will definitely have that. Portia just joined. I see you popped up there. So just have to add video and then we should be good to go. So, hello, Portia. How are you? Can you hear me? Just have to unmute. There we go. I hear you perfectly. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Just working through a few kinks. This is the first time we use this platform, so we're just making sure we got it right. Everybody can communicate with us, and you know, if we make any mistakes, you know, we'll fix it during the presentation. But I'm doing good. Aside from that, how's your day been going so far?
It's been going pretty good. Going pretty good. Can't complain.
Good. Good. Amazing. Okay. Well, it looks like we have people still joining, entering the room. We had over 300 people sign up for this webinar, which is amazing. I'm so glad everybody's investing in themselves. So it's just, you know, a matter of time before people just kind of start, you know, getting in. People are sometimes a little bit late, but I like, you know, as we kind of get started and we kind of make sure everything is working in the chat and so forth, like people can see you, they can hear you now. Just kind of tell people, you know, introduce yourself, tell people who you are and you know, what you do for the Office Business of Opportunity, and just a little bit of background on yourself before we kind of get started.
Sure. So good afternoon to everybody. I'm happy to be here and that so many people are invested in the trucking industry and learning about the government part of it and the opportunities with the government. I'm Dr. Portia Jackson. I'm the Business Development Manager at the City of Houston's Office of Business Opportunity. And what that means is that I help folks to navigate doing business with the city, but also within the city, and just helping you to get a strategy and how you can approach government procurement, if that's your choice, or just really how do you start your business, how do you grow and scale, and connecting you to the resources and the services that can help you progress in your entrepreneurship journey. And so with that, our office, the Office of Business Opportunity, we just call it OBO for short. Our office is dedicated to helping marginalized firms as well as disenfranchised individuals. So if you think about our office, we have four major facets. We do certifications. We have a contracts compliance division. So any contracts, city contracts, where there are goals where our certification folks are working on it, then they're making sure that those contracts and everything is being followed. So basically making sure everyone is in compliance with the contract. Then we also have our OBO Solution Center, which is a resource. So you could call us, you can send us an email, and we'll respond to any questions you may have. A lot of questions we get is about, what permits do we need to operate in the city of Houston? Can I get connected with the mentor? Things like that. Our Solution Center helps with, and then our business development programming, where we have business development actual programs all the way up from just workshops or for folks who just have a business idea with our business plan competition, all the way up to those who have been in business for quite some time. They may have been making a couple $100,000 in revenue and they're ready to take their business to the next level. So that's pretty much the gamut of what our office does. And then my piece is just helping you to navigate through those waters of doing business here in Houston. So I'm just glad to be here and to share. I see a lot of people are chiming in Chicago and all these different places. So this is cool.
Yeah, for sure. So again, thank you so much for being here. I know when we visited you guys, we visited you guys multiple times, we're doing Freight Fest in Houston and we wanted to connect with the city and see if there was any synergies there that, we can add value to you guys or you can add value to us. And it was just, in our conversations, it was just kind of staggering, like some of the information you guys were telling us about how, there's all these opportunities available and frankly, they're not being taken advantage of because there's not enough people who are certified or they don't know how to access these opportunities. So that's why I really thought it was important to have this call and kind of talk about that and get people on the track to some of these opportunities that's out there, specifically for minorities in business as well.
Absolutely. There's so much available. And a lot of times people just don't know about government contracting and don't even think about it or count themselves out. And so we just want to share that information that there is opportunity for everyone. And, recently I remember when I first moved to Houston, people be like, oh, Houston, whatever. But now it's almost like we're center stage. And so people are coming from all over, not just in the States, but internationally to do business with the city of Houston. So, there's always opportunity here. We just want to make sure that especially our historically marginalized firms know about those opportunities and the resources that can help them. So don't ever count yourself out and think, oh, I have to be in business for 12 years before I can even think about doing government contracting. That's not the case.
Got it. And I think a great place to start is around the data that you guys have, around, kind of contracts and opportunities. I have several questions that, typically when I interview people, I just kind of go off the cuff and just talk. But I want to make sure that I ask very specific questions because I know there's things that people specifically want to know, right? So as opposed to just rambling, I want to get directly right into it. So I'll start with just kind of like the data around the opportunities received and the opportunities kind of missed. Like some of the percentages, what's the data around contract awards for certified firms with Houston specifically?
So with Houston specifically, so that we have the data all the way up through the early part of the first quarter, so through May 31st of this year. And so think about the city of Houston, and when we talk about, and just want to make sure that, because I know folks are waiting to hear about government, I just want to make sure we kind of back it up and put it in perspective. So we have a local government, which is where your cities and your counties are going to be on. And then you also have your state government, and then you have federal government. So when I'm talking about city of Houston, we're talking about the city of Houston alone as a municipality, not the other government agencies that are headquartered or structured in the city of Houston, just the city of Houston alone. So with that, we have through March 31st, we've already spent over $1 billion. And out of that $1 billion, about 345,000 have gone to our certified firms. firms. And so when we talk about certified firms, we're talking about those who have been certified by us, the city of Houston, as minority owned, woman owned, small business, disadvantage, which is economically disadvantaged in airport concessions. So that equates to about around 32.4%, which is pretty good, I would say, for what we're doing. So we're proud of that number.
Got it. And is there a certain number of opportunities that are available? Can you give us an idea around that?
Yeah, and that's really, it's not a certain number that's available, like, hey, there's 5 opportunities only this year. No. So what it happens is every government is going to have a spend for every year. And so as government, we have to publicly put those things out there, especially if they're going to be over, for us, over 50,000, and some government entities may be over 25,000. So that's public information. And then you can see where the spend is going to happen in the different departments and what it's going to be on. And then for the city of Houston, we have a website, which is purchasing.houstontx.gov. And that will have all of our opportunities that are currently available. Typically, we have to provide at least 2 weeks notice prior. So you have a bid solicitation is what you'll see. All those solicitations, and they'll be broken down into 3 different categories: your formal bids, your informal, and then your request for proposals. So typically 2 weeks is what's required, that we put those up there for public to see before they end. But we've been pretty good at, there's some bids that's been up there for maybe like a month or 2 months before they end. And so it's really about, what I always tell people is, pick a day of the week and just make sure you check what's up there. And because you'll see the bids that are available, and it's going to be all over the gamut. It's not just going to be construction. It's not just going to be transportation. It's going to be professional services, all those different things. So just get in the habit of checking that once a week to see what's there, but not just looking, but actually clicking and going in to look at the scope of work. Because when it has a goal on it, even though it may say construction is layered, right? So there might be opportunities for concrete. There might be opportunities for transportation to move things back and forth. So you're not going to know that unless you actually open that up and read it and see what that scope of work, and then find your place from there. So there's always opportunities. Just got to go in there and search for them.
Do you know how many of the opportunities are transportation related on a percentage base of all the opportunities that are there?
No, I don't, because you have to understand too that right now there's probably at least 30 opportunities available, and they're all going to end at different times. In our office alone, we're managing over 1,800 contracts. So it's for your smaller government entities, they're going to be able to pinpoint that. But for something so large as the city, it's difficult to pinpoint that.
Got it. You mentioned earlier that it doesn't necessarily, it doesn't matter what stage of business you are in, right? You can be a newer business, you can, be an aged business. Can you just talk about, just at a basic level, what do people need to do to be able to have these opportunities?
Right. So one thing I would suggest is, one, it always goes back to research, seeing what the government entity purchases and the pattern that they purchase. So for us, there's no requirement in general to say you have to be in business for this long in order to do business with us. But each individual solicitation is going to have its own requirements. And so that's why it's important, because some solicitations may tell you you have to be in business for 5 years in order to qualify for this or apply for this solicitation. Others may not have a year of business on there, but they're also going to tell you what equipment you need, what supplies you need, how much staff you would need to do it. And so we have an event that we have every year, every December. And I had been getting a lot of questions of people saying, well, I haven't been in business that long, or what does it take to get a government contract? And I brought in an example of a person who was in business for less than 2 years, and he had gotten a government contract. So there's no time limit generally but you're going to have to look at those solicitations because it's going to depend on the type of work that you do and the type of solicitation, meaning what they need to be done. And so just put it in perspective. So if we want a bridge to be built, if you've never built a bridge before, what do you think, right? So just thinking about things like that. But if it's something as, hey, we're looking for a caterer for, an event that the mayor is having, and they put that online, they're going to be worried about, can you provide the amount of food for it, not how long you've been in business. So it's always going to vary on that. But that's what I would just encourage people. You got to open those bids and you got to look at those solicitations. And the good thing about it for government is that it all has to be public. So you can actually look at past bids and kind of see the pattern for your particular industry, what the requirements are.
Got it. And that's a good segue, because you just now mentioned, like, you guys may be looking for a caterer, right? For something for the mayor or whatever, right? So could you name some of the different types of, things that are out there to bid on? Just maybe if you could ramble off a couple off the top of your head, and maybe some of the more interesting ones that people would never even think that you guys are looking for these services.
Yeah, my most interesting one that I've ever seen, hands down, is that we were looking for someone who could supply goats. Okay. That's the most interesting. And so they needed goats. Why do they need goats? Because for the airport, they needed some grass to be eaten down and maintained so that the planes could see how to land. And so there was a solicitation out there for goats. But there's always things out there. Of course, construction, trucking, definitely, dump trucks, food, supplies, and keep in mind the broadness or the range of the city. There have been things where we have after school programs. So they were asking for pre-prepared meals for the kids for the after school programs. There's things out there for professional services. So like architecture and engineering, event planning, people who have experience in marketing to do marketing campaigns and social media for any type of big events that we're advertising. We have an events office. So think about folks supplying tents and audiovisual equipment and services for that. One that was recent, it was for 2 projectors. So there's a lot of different things that go into that we buy. But what I tell people to kind of break it down is like, what does the city buy? Think about, everybody always associates the city with construction, right? Okay, so you see the folks out there working on the roads for construction. What do they need in order for them to do their job? That's what we're purchasing. So you see them in a uniform. We're going to need uniforms. You see them in a truck that says City of Houston. So you think about, that's decals, that's cars. That's the maintenance of cars. What do cars have? They have wheels. They need to have oil change. They need to be washed. They have papers where they have to record what they're doing. So we have to purchase paper. And if we have paper, what do we need? We need printers. All those different supplies that we're going to need for us to operate. And you know that there's an employee out there. So you think about the benefits. You think about the insurance that has to be purchased for those employees. Think about the training that has to be done for those employees. All those things are being purchased by the city. And so you can kind of feel your way into what the city may need just by looking at that example, and any other employees you may see that sometimes it's our family members that work for the city, and think about, okay, you know what they do. Well, how would they be able to do their job? They would need this, that, and the other to do it. So that's an easy way to kind of break down and see the range of what the city would purchase.
Got it. Thank you so much for that. And I know you guys do workshops and stuff like that, right? But can you kind of talk about the path to certification? How long does it typically take? And what do you kind of need to do to get started, before we kind of get into some other questions?
Sure. So our certification typically takes about 6 months to obtain. And certification is the leverage that you need, or not necessarily that you need, but that is recommended for government procurement, especially in some industries. And so certification is just going to require you to apply. Our certification application is strictly online. What we do, because it is long, this is the government, right? So we want all of your information. So there's going to be a lot of documents for you to complete, but we do have a pre-certification workshop that we offer twice a month. And what folks can do is go there. You only have to attend it one time, and it will break down all the different documents you're going to need prior to you filling out the application, so that you can gather all your documents, so that when you sit in front of that application, all you're doing is just uploading those documents. And so that's pretty much how the process goes. And then when we have the applications, we have two sets of applications, but it's on one platform. So one is going to be for your local certifications, which is going to be typically your minority, woman-owned, small business, persons with disabilities application. And then we can also complete your application for the state certification, which we call HUB. And then you have another application that takes care of your disadvantaged business enterprise and your airport concessions. And so this application is used for any type of solicitation that has federal funding on it.
Got it. Okay. And what are your, I think you mentioned this maybe earlier, but what are the contract goals for the city of Houston, I guess, in 2024? What are the goals for this year? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so our contract goals are, so on construction contracts above $1 million, the standard is 34%. It could easily be more or less, but that's the standard goal on construction contracts over $1 million. For goods and services, it's going to be 11% over $100,000 or more. So contracts about $100,000 or more could have a goal of 11% on them, goods and services. Then our third goal on the contract is for requests for proposals. So that's 24%. So requests for proposals are going to be anything that requires a professional license for you to have that. So when we say professional license, think about an attorney, architecture, engineering, those services that require you to have a license in order to be able to complete that job or that career. That's professional services, and that has 24% standard goal on it. And those are deemed requests for proposals because instead of the other two, the bids, when they come out, they're saying, we want this done. Everybody submit the bid of how you're going to get this done. Request for proposals is saying, we can't really put a price on what we need because it's unique. It depends on the expertise of you. So you submit to us a proposal on how much you would charge us in order for us to be able to reach this particular project.
Got it. Thank you for that. Once you're able to get certified, you said it could take up to about 6 months, right? Mm-hmm. And you get into what's kind of next after that? Are you added to an email list? Are you now starting to kind of market your services? What's the next step?
Yes. So once you get certified, it's on you now. Now you're going out there. You need to be networking. We will add you to our distribution list that will come every Monday, letting you know about the different opportunities with the city and our external partners. I do want to make sure that people understand you do not have to be certified in order to do business with the city of Houston or with any government agency. That the certification is not a requirement, but it is an opportunity for you to leverage to be able to be a part and work on major contracts. And so, so with the certification, when I tell people, don't wait until you get the certification to start to look for business. You should be looking for business now. One thing that's for sure, whoever you want to do business with, a government agency, you must register to be a vendor. That's hands down number one step, because you cannot do business unless you're a registered vendor. Typically, I can speak for the city of Houston, we don't charge anybody to be a vendor. So once you're a vendor, start looking for opportunities, get that certification. But in that process, you should be networking. You should be researching to see, okay, what's the buying patterns of the government agency for the product or service that I offer, so that you can be already in that mix of knowing what's there, what to prepare. You might need to know, okay, I might need to hire some more staff because it seems like the solicitations out here, it's just me, and I would need more people in order to pull this off. So you should be networking. You should be knowing who the primes are, the prime contractors are in your industry and who are getting those contracts. And also take it a step further. I'm a researcher, so I'm always going to tell you from the perspective of what I'd be doing, but I'd be trying to find out who are their subcontractors. And we do have a website that you can find that out, because I want to know who's getting the contracts and who they're subbing them out to, and knowing my competitive advantage over who they're subbing it out to. Because if I'm looking to be a subcontractor, I'm trying to work with you because you already have a city contract, which means you're probably going to get more. I need to let you know why you need to select me as your sub opposed to some of the other folks. And so with that, I'm going to be looking at your website. I'm going to see what other opportunities I can work with you as a prime contractor, but I'm also going to be going to the different networking events and knowing what's going on in that particular ecosystem. So I know who the key players are, know if there's any resources that I can lean on or services that people can help me to be able to get to my goal of what I'm trying to achieve as a government contractor.
Can you share that website that you mentioned where you can find that information? I'm sure people will be very interested in that.
Sure. So for the city of Houston, you would go to houston.mwdbe. So mother, woman, David, boy, Edward.com.
Okay.
And when you go there, you'll be able to.
Sorry.
So when you go there, you're going to scroll down to where it says contract database. Click on contract database, and then you can either search in a variety of different ways. It'll show you, you can put in the prime contractor if you know who the prime is, or you can put in description, you can put in uniforms, and then you just hit submit, and then it will bring up all the contracts that were uniform contracts. The name in bold will be the prime contractor. You click on that, it'll tell you how much the contract was worth, what department needed that contract, who the subs are, if there were any, the progress of that particular contract, and if they had a goal on it, how much the goal was in percentage as well as dollar amount, and then where they are so far in completing that contract.
Got it. That's great information. Thank you so much for that. How does the pay work? I know we're always worried about how we're going to get paid. How do you get paid when you're working with the city?
Yes. So when you're working with the city, there's a couple different ways to get paid. So I'll start with, if you're on the actual contract that goes up for bid and solicitation. So you can get paid, but it might be up to 90 days. So when you're going after these contracts, you have to know that your business will be able to sustain without payment, because you might not get paid immediately. So between 30 and 90 days is the payment process. And there will be forms that you'll have to fill out. And even if you have a contract that has a goal and you have subcontractors, you got to fill out that information. And if you're in construction, there'll be some additional forms to make sure that the payroll has been done right. And so in order for you to get paid, you'll submit that information. City council will vote that, okay. And when they vote, they're looking at a rating system to say, okay, they have met all the requirements and the project and getting done and anything else. Okay, we're going to vote, go ahead and pay the folks. And so that's how it works. But definitely know that it could take up to 90 days for you to get paid. So just make sure that you have the ability to sustain your business during that time.
Got it. Is there a certain time of year when you should bid, or when, bids are more, the opportunities are more lucrative than others, or that doesn't really matter?
That doesn't really matter. You just need to be worried about your particular industry and knowing those buying patterns, so that you don't, because if you're not in the habit of checking it on a continuous basis, you could miss out on the opportunity, because maybe something in trucking came up and then it's one day left and you're like, oh my gosh, I just saw it. For you to put a bid in one day, you got to be awfully good and quick and have nothing else to do to be able to meet that deadline. So just get in the habit of checking on those patterns, and you'll know, and you'll be prepared. But there's not a particular time of the year or season for it.
Got it. Do you have any success stories around some certified firms that you've worked with? I know you mentioned one a little bit earlier about somebody with like under 2 years, they were able to get a contract. Is there anything else that you kind of put out there without naming names if you don't
Right,
have
right.
to, just kind of like an idea of what somebody was able to do to scale their business by working with you guys?
Right. So actually, so there was one, she was an accountant or she is an accountant, and she just started going to pre-bid meetings. So pre-bid meetings or pre-bid conferences, same thing. We kind of use that interchangeably. So when you see a solicitation, it's going to have a pre-bid meeting, pre-bid conference. And that is your chance to go and learn more about that particular solicitation. It's also a chance for you to network, let people know if you're going to go the subcontracting route. Hey, I'm a sub, I'm looking to work on this. This is what I can do. If you're the prime, you're going in there and saying, I need to figure out what's going on, as well as I need to see if I can meet some subcontractors here to fulfill the goals on this contract so I can submit the bid. But that pre-bid meeting is what you're going to find out more information about it. And you know what? And I forgot. What did you ask me? Success story. There we go. Never mind. I gotta go take this. I'm so sorry. So anyway, so this particular individual was an accountant, and so she started going to the pre-bid meetings, even if it didn't have a piece of accounting to deal with. She just was out there passing out her cards, meeting people. And what happened to her is that because of her diligence and going to those pre-bid meetings, some of the folks out there said, not with this bid, but I do need accounting services for something else. So she started working with them and providing accounting, and she knew construction, so she knew how to help construction companies with their accounting. And so from her going out to those pre-bid meetings, just trying to meet people, it led to a contract with that company. That company ended up getting more contracts with the city, and they end up finding space for her to work on an actual city contract. And so now she's grown that into, she has a $4 million contract with the city right now on accounting. And another example is someone, and I tell this story because when I first started, he would always see me at different events. Every time he saw me, he would give me his card. And I'm like, oh my God, I had this card like 10 times already, but good to see you, you know? And he would always want me to check on his certification because he was applying for certification. But long story short, he always came to the different events about doing business with the government, with the city, and with other government agencies. And he began to network with the folks that are in the audience and folks that was there that was presenting prime contractors who were working on large contracts for the airport and putting himself out there. He began to align himself with professional organizations. And so he ended up getting some subcontracting opportunities. And now he's to the point where the folks that he used to sub for, they now sub for him as he's a prime contractor. So those are two good examples that I'd like to brag about because they really put in the time and the effort and did the research and the work.
I love it. You mentioned earlier, what was it? I was going to say, I just lost my train of thought about the contract. I lost my train of thought. I'll get back to it. I have a bunch of questions. Oh, that's what it was. I was going to say, you mentioned earlier about the events. Like you keep on, this gentleman was at some networking events. You said earlier, come to the networking events. What are those events and where can they be found publicly for people to go visit those events?
Yes. So here in Houston, one of the main events for procurement is the Greater Houston Business Procurement Forum. It happens once a month, typically the 4th or 5th Tuesday of the month. And each month, it's a different organization that's spotlighted. But however, there's all the other different government entities and those major prime contractors who are working on large projects. They come there, they set up an exhibit table, and that's your chance to meet, know what projects are out there with the city, with the county, with Metro, with the school systems and the community colleges. They're there to tell you, and they're looking for certified firms, and they are wanting to work with certified firms. And so that's one of the major events that we have here in Houston that occurs. And then also, each of your different government agencies, like your independent school districts, your community colleges, your state colleges, your medical centers, all those, they have their own events where they might have like a matchmaker event. And that's where you can go to learn about the different opportunities, lending opportunities. So it's really getting plugged into that of the different events that are happening. You have your standard events, but then you kind of have like some ad hoc, because what we're really good here at Houston is working together. So if we see that there's a trend and our business owners may need to know about it, we'll do a workshop or something like that. And that just really requires you to go to those websites and sign up to be on their distribution list. And that way they'll put you on a newsletter. So anytime they have any events coming out, you'll get that. For us, it's sending us an email, and that's at OBOS, like in Sam, C, like in Charles, at houstontx.gov, and just say, I want to be on your distribution list. Just include your name, first and last name, your company name, and the email address you want to go to. And so what we do is every Monday, along with the solicitations, we send out a networking calendar that lets you know all the different events that we're having, as well as our partners, the other different government agencies. So it might be business development programs. It may also be a webinar. It might be a workshop. It might be an actual event. Any agency that's looking specifically for marginalized groups and their participation on contracts and work, that's what we're going to have in our distribution list. And those are the events that you'll see, and you'll be able to sign up from there.
Got it. Thank you for that. We have a ton of questions. My team is helping me organize them because I don't think the question chat is working properly, but I do have them. So I want to kind of get into some of you guys' questions because I can't hold Portia hostage all night, unfortunately. But I want to make sure we answer some of your questions. So I'm going to start with, what is the best way to research buying patterns? I think you mentioned that earlier.
Yeah.
What's a great way to research buying patterns? Great question, by the way.
That is a great question. And I like it because they said research, and I love research. So you're going to go to, for instance, I'll just use the city of Houston. You will go to our site, our buying site, which is purchasing.houstontx.gov. And you'll see a box that says search for bids. You'll click there, leave it open, and then it will bring up all of the past and current bids. So there you can kind of see, all right, I'm looking at these past bids, and you can use a description. So you're looking for trucking, you can put in trucking, you can put in logistics, and it will bring up all the past or current bids in trucking, and you can see what words that we're using, because maybe we're not using trucking, we're using something else, and you can see that and know that's so when I deal with the city, I need to use transportation in order to get the bids that I'm interested in. But you can look at the dates of when they're offered. You can see maybe it was every 2 years that this comes up, every 3 years, once a year. You'll see it. You'll also see the buying department. So then that lets you know anytime you see an event that says, for instance, HPW, which stands for Houston Public Works, that I need to be at that event. If they're the ones that's buying my services, if it says HPW, I got to drop all I got and go over there and make sure I'm coming there. I'm coming with my capability statement. And I always tell people, because you have to understand that folks who do outreach meet so many people per day. Make yourself stand out. And one way to make yourself stand out is when you've done the research. So no matter if they're busy or they have to run somewhere, if you say, hey, Ramel, I know you do a podcast. And I liked your podcast. I like when you talked about this particular subject. But anyway, I want to talk to you about my capability statement, because you have now told them that I know exactly who you are and I've done my research. He's going to stop and say, okay, let me listen to what you have to say. Even though I might have been in a rush to get somewhere, let me hear what you have to say. And that will help you to stand out. But definitely have a capability statement, so they leave with something. Make sure that capability statement has all of your NAICS and NIGP codes. So when you're dealing with the government, just saying, I do transportation, I do logistics, okay, well, we look at codes. So you have to have the corresponding codes to what your products and services are. So your capability statement should have those codes listed. So it's not just, I'm trying to remember, what did they do? Oh, no, it's right here. This is exactly what they do. And so that's one of the ways that you can stand out. And that's, I would, suggest in approaching people, that's to take that route and do that research. And even with the federal government, they have their past bids available too. You can go to their website. I want to say it's usspending.gov. You can go there and you can see the past patterns of what they've purchased, and then that way you can prepare accordingly to know, okay, I need to start looking out for this particular solicitation to come available.
That's great. Thank you so much for that. Next question. Do you have to be local in Houston for these contracts? And I guess I'll add to that. Does that mean your business has to be a Houston address? You have to reside in Houston? And then I'll add to that, are these, the things that you're saying, are they transferable in other cities? Is it the same exact process? Kind of talk about that.
So no, you do not have to be local to do business with the city. To be certified, yes. For us to be able to certify you, you have to be local. And we operate out of 10 counties. But you do not have to be local to do business with the city of Houston. We have people from California, New York who are working on contracts. We have people who are not even in the United States working on city contracts. So you do not have to be local for it. Again, you do not have to be certified to do business with the city. And pretty much that is a typical standard across the board, that the solicitations are not just limited to that particular city or that particular state. If it is, that solicitation will have it, but more than likely that's not the case.
Got it. Thank you. Next question. Other than the requirements listed in the RFP, what is a general structure or template for writing a proposal? And that may be like a kind of a broad question, but anything that you could, kind of add to that.
Yes. So I would say, so most of your major cities are going to have an SBA office, so Small Business Administration office. Wherever there's a Small Business Administration office, they're going to have different organizations that they pretty much fund. So you're going to have an Apex Accelerator. The Apex Accelerator, formerly known as the Procurement Technical Assistance Center, they will help you to prepare your bid package, whether you're going after local, state, or federal government, all free of charge. They also, SBA also funds small business development centers. So you would have one of those in one of your cities, and they can also help you with government solicitations.
Great. Someone said, I'm a certified DBE/MBE in Kansas and Missouri, also certified in SAM for federal. Does Houston have cert reciprocity?
No, we only accept our certifications.
Okay.
But other folks accept ours.
Okay, so others do accept Houston, but Houston only accepts their own.
The ones that we issue, yep.
Got it. Okay, cool. Next question. What qualifies one to be able to be a minority contractor, and what is the correct procurement to become minority contractor certified? There's a requirement for you to become certified as a minority business. To be a contractor with the city or with any other agency is going to be a separate, right? Because you're going to be a vendor, and then you're also going to be certified. So it's two separate things. For the certification, as far as minority, it has to be 51% owned and controlled by minority. And a minority is going to be, of course, racial minorities. So that's Black, a Native American, Asian, Hispanic, and there's one more that I'm missing, but it will have the requirements on there. So it's just looking at your race, and then to make sure that with that race that you actually have 51% control. Now, if you have multiple partners, that's fine, as long as the partnership equals 51% of that certification, meaning out of all the partners, 51% of the ownership is minority, 51% of the ownership equals woman owned, like that. Got it. Someone asked, does Ms. Portia only help Texas-based companies to acquire government certifications and contracts, or does she help work with everyone nationwide? Also, where can I find her services? You're a consultant now.
Right. Well, first of all, you can follow me on LinkedIn and reach out to me there. But because I am an employee with the City of Houston, my main target is to help folks with City of Houston. I will help folks with, other agencies, but, I have to pretty much stay with the City of Houston, but I can provide insight on how and give you a strategy on how those other ones may work as well. But if you want that consulting services, then
For sure. This is a good question. Can I be a prime contractor on one contract and a subcontractor on another contract?
Yep.
Simply put.
Yep.
Okay. Not a problem at all. All right, let me see here. It's still going through. All right. Are these available for a new authority business, or you need to set amount of time with authority? So you kind of already answered that question. In regards to the time. Let me see here. And thank you guys.
While you look for another one, I saw it come up. To be in our distribution list is obosc@houstontx.gov.
Okay, got you. Can my moderators please put that in the chat so everybody gets that information? And thank you everybody who's doing the research and sharing links and everything while we talk. That's extremely, extremely helpful. Very, very helpful. All right, still going through some questions. Let me see here. And I'm just trying to go through the ones that are redundant so they're not, asked. We ask the same question over and over again.
No worries.
Let me see. Someone wanted to know, what is a dump truck NAICS code? I don't know if you know that for dump trucks by any chance?
No, don't ask me about anybody's NAICS codes. It's like 5 digits and I can't remember my own phone number sometimes. So I don't know.
Got it.
But our website has a directory. You can go there and put it in. You'll be able to find it.
Okay. Got it. Somebody wanted to know, are there any opportunities that you're aware of for cargo vans with the government?
I haven't seen one recently, but there's been some because we have some cargo vans in our fleet. So we've had to purchase those somehow.
Okay. This is an interesting question. When teaming with a company to prime or slash sub, whichever one, is it best to sign an NDA agreement beforehand? Have you ever heard anything like that, like some sort of NDA?
It could be, depending on the type of business and if there's going to be any type of information to be shared that you might want to keep private, then I would say to do that. But when we start talking about signing agreements and the best way to do that, I would suggest to contact an attorney because I wouldn't be able to give you the best advice on that. And just to let you know, for our office, we do have free legal services. So that can definitely be something that we can assist you with.
Okay, that's great. Okay, so Daquan said that he missed the answer for the authority earlier. So can you provide an answer? No problem at all. So basically he was asking in terms of like how long your company has to be around before you can, look for an opportunity. I guess he came in a little bit late. So if you just want to speak to that real quick.
Yeah, no worries. For the City of Houston, we don't have a general requirement as far as the year of service, but each solicitation is going to tell you. So some solicitations will tell you 5 years and some may not have a year requirement. Now, there are some government agencies that do across the board have a requirement of you have to be in business at least 2 years in order to submit a bid for us. But again, across the board, the solicitation is what you want to look at.
Okay, got it. Let me see. All right. Still going through. When completing a gov RFP, what exactly is the government looking for from a primary, and what are some ways to make your bid stand out? I guess that's the best way to ask that question. What are ways to make your bid stand out?
To show that you can do the job, that you have experience. And so each different agency and for particular, each solicitation, they're going to have like a standard scorecard basically that they're looking for. And can you do this? Can you do that? So one way to stand out for sure is to show that you have the experience in doing that. And really too, for the government is the price. You know, can you do it? And can you keep it cheap for us, basically? Cheaper
Got it.
for us.
Okay. In terms of actually fulfilling, these different contracts, what are some ways, this is a question of mine. How do you get kicked out of a contract, right? Like what can you do in order if you get an opportunity, what can you do to lose that opportunity? Right?
Not perform the work, go off the grain of your contract. So if you told us that you were going to use ABC company as your subcontractor to fulfill your goal and you don't use them, that's the one way for us to say no. And if it comes to that, we will suspend you and you won't be able to do business with us for a period of time.
Got it. Is there a certain number that you're capped at as a contractor in terms of spend, or is it unlimited based on how many contracts you win?
It's pretty much unlimited, but they're going to look at too your ability to complete the contract, right? So you just can't be going out there and winning contracts and then you're not able to fulfill and you take away from what you're doing on one contract, trying to do on this contract. So they're going to look at that to say, okay, this person has, 5 contracts. Do they have the capacity in order to perform that? So there's really not a limitation, but there kind of is an underlying, as long as you have the capacity to be able to do them.
Got it. Thank you for that.
And if there is a specific limitation, it will tell you in that solicitation that you can't be working on any other contracts.
Okay, so sometimes it'll state that
yes.
You can only do this contract solely, but there's other times when you can work on multiple, but it will be stated if you can only do one at a time.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Someone asked, is there any contracts for wheelchair van passport? Have you ever seen anything like that come across your desk?
I have not.
Okay. And
doesn't
you were
mean
saying
that it hasn't.
Right.
It's so many, but I don't recall one of those.
And I think we provided a link earlier, right, where you can find all the different contracts out there. What was that?
I believe so. It was purchasing.houstontx.gov.
Yeah, so check out that link, the purchasing.houstontx.gov. It's a little bit earlier, around 4:41. Somebody shared it. So go ahead and check that out. And you can look at all the different contracts. You have access to everything right there. That's a great tool. All right. Can someone write the website? Oh, okay. Somebody said that. All right. We repeat the office. We repeat the office that assists small businesses with the preparation of bid proposals.
Sure. Apex, APEX Accelerator. And they should be in every major city.
Okay. Got it. All right, guys. So I think I've got through most of these questions. If you have any final questions, we are kind of coming up on an hour, and I want to, Portia has to go home to her family at some point. So we're going to wrap this up pretty soon. While I have this time and people are asking their final questions, I do want to thank you also for being a speaker at Freight Fest this year. I know you're going to be there and you're going to grace the stage and be amazing as you always are. And also, the resources that you guys are going to bring. I also want to offer to the audience, anybody who's on this call, we do have a special offer for anyone on this call. It's 20% off on Freight Fest. My team has provided the link in the chat. It's Gov20. So if you go to the link and hit Gov20, you'll get 20% off tickets. That's for you investing in yourself and being here today. And again, thank you, Portia, for doing this as well. This was very, very helpful. If there's any final questions, I just want to give everybody a minute to kind of throw them in. And then after that, we'll kind of close out for sure. All right, so let me see. We just now added that link in there so you can check it out. So let me see. Hold on. Everybody's saying thank you. Oh, and make sure you go follow Portia on LinkedIn. Can you repeat your LinkedIn again, Portia?
Yeah, it's just at PJPhD.
PJPhD. Okay, Got it. All right. Oh, okay. So how can we acquire a copy of this webinar? We will send out a replay of the webinar to everybody, so you guys can take a look at it, take notes. I know there's a lot of information that was, kind of given today. So definitely go revisit this and check it out. Portia, is there anything that you want to close with? This is the question I asked. Everybody on this webinar right now, obviously they're interested in this, right? They took this step. What is the second step? What's the next thing they need to do right after they get off this call if they're serious about this opportunity?
Research. And that would be, there's so many, like for Houston, there's so many government agencies here. You can't do business with everybody. You just pretty much don't have the capacity to be able to do that. Start researching and figure out which agency is the one that you want to do business with. And even if you look at it and you say, it may take me a couple years, if they're saying 5 years and you only have 2 or 3 years, think about the small hanging fruit, right? So your major cities have suburbs that are cities too. What about doing work for some of them, growing your capacity so that you can be able to come to the major city and do that if needed, because you might be already okay to do that, but that's just an opportunity. But do the research and know what agency it purchases your business or your services, and that it makes sense for you. Never discount yourself just to try to get a government contract. Don't ever do that. No, you got to know your business. You got to know your value and what you're worth. Do the research to find out what agency is best fit for you, or what 2 agencies are best fit for you, and then see if you want to go the certification route. If you want to go the certification route, what certifications do they accept and who do they accept them from, so that you make sure that you get the right certifications in order to pursue those opportunities. And then hit the networking scene. You should be going out there and networking, but network with a purpose. Don't go to every event just to go to every event. No, I'm going to this event because maybe I want to meet this person, or maybe if I want to do a joint venture, maybe I want to meet some other business owners or we can partner with. So just really have a strategy, but research is that founding principle that you need to be successful, and so that you don't waste your time and you don't get disappointed.
Got it. Dr. Portia Jackson, thank you so much. This has been great. It was extremely valuable information. I learned a lot. The links that you shared are incredible. This is, where people could actually start that research and start taking these steps. And if you're serious about it, you're going to make it happen, right? It's right here in front of you. These opportunities are available. Everyday people just like yourself get them all the time. So thank you so much, Portia. Next time I see you, we'll probably be at Freight Fest, if not before that. Well, actually, no, we have something else coming up soon. We have another one of these, so that we have to talk about soon. So yeah, we actually will be doing this again on August, what is it, 20th or something like that?
I want to say the 20th sounds right.
I think it's August 20th, but we'll send out information to everybody. We'll be doing a follow-up, giving some more value. So yeah, guys, thank you so much. This has been great, Portia. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
All right, everybody, take care. We will send out the replay to you guys. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. All right, guys, take care.